Alright everybody, we are back here. I have Octopath Traveler Runner with us, Anime Fan 11. They are going to be doing some cool Octopath and RPG stuff with us. Go ahead.
Okay, would you like to count me down, Grace?
Yeah. Do you want to explain what the run we're doing is really quick for everybody? Because I do not know much about Octopath.
Sure. So Octopath Traveler is an RPG with 8 protagonists in it. You can start with any of the 8 and then you play through their story. Once you complete the 4 chapters of your starting character, you reach the credits, and that's what I'll be doing today. I will be playing through Ophilia, who's the cleric character, and completing her 4 chapters. The challenge run I submitted under was Lone Traveler Challenge. So Lone Traveler is a Steam achievement where basically the goal is to complete the game without recruiting any of the other 7 protagonists. So that's going to be the run today.
Alright, sounds perfect. Then if you are ready, I will go ahead and give a countdown.
Sure, thank you.
Okay, so we are going to start the run in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
May the sacred flame guide.
Okay, hello everyone. So I will be running Octopath Traveler today, and Octopath, as I mentioned, is a game with 8 protagonists in it, and this is Ophilia, who is the cleric protagonist, and I'll be playing through her 4 chapters to complete the game. The challenge I submitted under is Lone Traveler, which basically just means it'll be a solo run with just Ophilia. And at the start here, you can just see me do some story triggers and such. You can see behind me that I have a child, and that's because of Ophilia's path action, which is Guide. Guide allows her to basically pick up NPCs in towns and locations, and then bring them to other locations and such, or bring them into battle. Obviously, the child cannot be brought into battle, but other NPCs can be brought in, and then they have various abilities and such that help with dealing damage to the enemies. So in the beginning, Ophilia's story just has her kind of helping out around her town a little bit, and then also dealing with some family matters, basically. Ophilia, her adopted father and her adopted sister basically run a church, and there's a ritual that has to be done, and Ophilia, because of certain circumstances, decides to take up the mantle to help her sister, and this will be her first chapter's trial. I'm gonna go down here and buy a weapon, and it's just gonna help us deal with the first boss in the game. And then after that, I'm going to go into this tavern and recruit an NPC over here with the guide action that I mentioned. And then in the bottom right corner will be the first dungeon and first dangerous area in the game. So Octopath is on a step counter system, like a lot of other RPGs, and that just basically means that the more steps you take, the higher the chance of an encounter. In the beginning of the game, when you walk, you have a lower chance of getting an encounter. Also, you can see here that there's a break word, and basically break and boost are the battle system in this game. You deal damage, you do attacks on the enemy, and by hitting their weak point, you reduce their number of shields. And when they go down to 0, then you get basically extra damage on them in their broken state. And then also they lose their actions and such. For example, in the previous battle, you saw me break an enemy, and then he lost his action that was coming up. And that's really helpful. Here, I'm just trying to flee. I took a little bit of damage, unfortunately, but it happens. So in the beginning of the game, we basically... here I'm just doing a little bit of healing. Ophilia is a white mage type of character, so she can heal. In the beginning of the game, I'm just fleeing from these enemies because they give very little experience and job points, so there's not much point to fighting them. Later, I'll hopefully take some better encounters to get the EXP and such that I need, which is why I'm fleeing everything here. Also, there was an incentive for language, so that's why I'm playing in English here. There isn't a huge difference in English and Japanese for this character, so it doesn't matter too much. And we'll also be coming up on the first boss, and I will just do a safety save here for marathon safety. I have actually wiped to this boss before, so it's very unusual, but just in case. So I mentioned that we can summon NPCs to battle, and here you'll see me do it. I will summon the tavern patron that I recruited, and he has an ability called Summon Winds, which basically means that he can do this triple hit wind attack, which the enemy is weak to. And you can see that the enemy is down to 1 shield already, and that's really nice because in their broken state we can do a lot of extra damage.
This should help.
I'm gonna heal here just for a little bit of safety, and this person will break the enemy for me. And now I'll do a max boosted Holy Light. So by spending the boost points in the top right corner, you can do extra damage, and especially in their broken state, you can really capitalize on that to do a lot of damage. And this boss will now summon a wisp, and this dark wisp is kind of the whole gimmick of the boss. Ideally, you want to defeat the boss before 3 turns pass, and then if 3 turns pass, the wisp will blow up and do a lot of damage. We can tank it, but ideally we do just defeat the boss before that.
Well then.
Okay, so that's good. Okay, that's a little unfortunate.
I'll do my best. No, you will not.
Okay, that's good. This should defeat him.
Here I go. There.
Okay, there. So you saw that the counter was going kind of low. That's why I was a little worried. But by defending, you can basically move ahead in turn order, and then use that to try and defeat a boss sometimes, or defeat an enemy before they can act. And it would have been bad if the wisp had blown up, because it does a lot of damage and can KO Ophi from like middle-ish HP. But now we've defeated the first boss in the game, and that's basically Ophilia's first chapter completed. And now we will move on to explore the rest of the world and her other chapters. Here I'm going to recruit this NPC, who is basically a different ability. My previous tavern patron, Summon Winds, this NPC has a bow attack, and the bow attack is useful for getting to a certain job shrine. So in this game, there's shrines that are related to the 8 jobs in the world, and for example, Ophilia is the cleric, so there is a cleric shrine in the world. Our goal is to reach the scholar shrine, which has a passive ability that you can learn called evasive maneuvers. And
There is no choice.
okay, I'm gonna break this enemy and flee.
My turn now.
So, Ophilia, our goal is to reach the Scholar Shrine and get evasive maneuvers, the first passive, and that drastically reduces the encounter rate in the game. We reduce it by about 2 to 2.5 times as much, and that really helps us speed it through the game and ignore encounters.
Protect us.
Okay,
I'll not be defeated.
so here I will actually just take this, just to get a little bit of extra EXP and JP, which we do need. And the ants are weak to staff here, as you can see, which is nice because I can break them and defeat them. Usually in speedruns you don't defeat, or in Octopath speedruns you don't defeat these kinds of random encounters because it's a little slow, honestly. But the challenge I'm doing is just Ophilia solo, so she does need a little bit of EXP and JP. And here I will just walk through this map because there is an encounter that you can get, that you often get, which is a sheep and a bird, and it does a lot of damage, and it's also a higher level encounter. So ideally I can just skip. Okay, I just skipped it, which is quite nice. But if you do get that, Ophilia has a tough time running from them. But both enemies are actually weak to bow, which is why I recruited the NPC behind me. The NPC behind me has an attack called Flurry, which if it does a 3-hit flurry attack on the sheep, it will break it, and then it will also break the bird as well. And then if an enemy is broken, you get extra damage, but you also get guaranteed fleas. Okay, here I'm gonna switch my job to Scholar, and that's so that I can defeat some enemies that I will probably run into later in a little bit. So after I've gotten that job, I'm gonna run to the town up here, and you're basically guaranteed this encounter. So my goal is to break them and flee with this NPC, and hopefully I get a flurry. I do not, which is a little unfortunate, but it's kind of expected. You can't really control what NPCs do in this game.
This should help.
You can't control what NPCs do in this game, so Okay, you saw that like last turn he did a normal attack, but now he did a flurry, which is good because now I can flee, and I get a guaranteed free flee. And I can just go to this town, and Octopath has a fast travel system, which is really nice. It just means if you've been to a town before, you can just warp back there freely. And now I can warp from here back to my starting town. But before I warp back, I am just gonna go pick up this item here, and I will warp back to Flame's Grace, which is Ophilia's starting town. The item I grabbed there was called a Light Soulstone M, and soulstones in this game are similar to, for example, grenades in Final Fantasy, if you know that, or other damaging items. Okay. So here I will...
Well then.
I think I will just take this. It's very little JP, but I do need a little bit of JP now. My goal is to reach 130 JP, which would allow me to learn 2 Scholar skills and pick up Scholar's first passive, which is Evasive Maneuvers. So the soulstones in this game basically do a fixed amount of damage, and they do quite a bit more than normal attacks that we can do at this stage. For example, you see me doing 36 or even just 563 here, but the soulstone I have does 1100 without boosting or anything. You can't boost items in this game, so alright. So I picked up Lightning Blast, which is the first skill I wanted. That's just to help defeat enemies in this map here. There's enemies called ants. Well, actually, you saw them earlier. They're the 2 ants I defeated. But if I run into them again, I can defeat them more quickly this time. So here, I'll just be taking some encounters along the way to get a little more JP. My goal is to reach 130 JP, and I have, well, I spent 30 already, so I just need 100 now, and you saw I have 5. So with the Light Soulstone M that I have, I can actually go to this map here, which is called Whistlewood, and hopefully get a good encounter for good EXP and JP. So, unfortunately, some of these enemies are a little bit slower. Animation-wise, also, spells take longer to cast than just normal magic, but it's kind of necessary to break some enemies and such.
The flame guides us true.
Most runners, when they do Octopath, they usually just try to flee or do as minimal encounters as they can, come to this Whistlewood area and hope to get a good encounter in here. For example, there's bugs that you really want. You do not want frogs, but I will actually just take this so I can move ahead.
Take this.
So you see here, I did a lot of damage, 1100, 1100, 1100, and 1430. And here I get 66 JP, which is much more than the other enemies I had outside. And I'll just take some more encounters along the way, going to the next town, or going to the next area. In the meantime, Grace, is there anything you would like to say?
Flame, protect us. I'll do my best.
I had to find the mute button that I used because I have like 4. Not really. We have not gotten any new donations in since our last one. But if you guys do want to donate, I'll go ahead and drop the links in our chat. And you guys are welcome to go ahead and check those out. Remember, we are raising money for direct relief. So, like, yeah, dude, cool.
I will battle.
But no, like, game looks great so far. I never actually got to play this casually, so I kind of live vicariously through speedruns of it.
Hopefully it's an enjoyable run. This challenge is not often done in you know, outside of just casual play and such, but I enjoy it because I think it's a cool challenge to try out. So I'll just be grinding a little bit of extra encounters. These ants are the ones I mentioned, and they're the reason why I wanted to learn Lightning Blast here, and they give quite a bit more JP and EXP relative to other enemies. And you see that I'm just 2 away now, so I'm just gonna move on now, and I'll take the very next encounter. This is generally a little slow for getting evasive maneuvers, but I think it's fine. It's a little safer way to do it. and this should hopefully be the last encounter I take.
I'll do my best.
Okay.
I'll do my best.
So, unfortunately, this one's a little slower, but I'll be getting evasive maneuvers now, and then after that, it allows us to basically move across the maps a lot more easily. Okay. So with that, encounter rate is reduced a lot more, and it basically just breaks open the game. And this is basically the first stop that almost all Octopath speedruns go through, picking up evasive maneuvers as soon as possible to reduce the encounter rate. And then the next step in a lot of Octopath speedruns is to basically go through the towns and optional dungeons in the game, and that basically allows us to get a lot of resources and also set up warp points for us to fast travel to later down the line. I'm just gonna flee from these.
I'll do my best.
A little unfortunate, but it's fine. I basically have no chance to wipe because I am a little higher level than than usual for a speedrun of this game. So the next town we're going to be headed to is called Stoneguard. And Stoneguard has a useful quest that we'll be completing later in the game, and in addition to that, there's also a it's also just a nice central point for us to warp back and forth between. In addition to that, we will be getting another job shrine near there. The most popular job, aside from Scholar for evasive maneuvers, is Merchant. And Merchant is super useful because it gives it has a nice ability to help do damage to enemies in the game. So here I grabbed a soul stone and then I exited the map and came back up. Basically, that just resets the encounter rate, and as I showed earlier, the soul stones do a lot of damage. So here's the first town we're going to be tagging, which is Stoneguard, and we'll come back later. And let's see, okay. So the next town we go to is Wellspring, and Wellspring is another just warp point town, and also there is another soulstone there. So far you saw me throw a medium soulstone, but there's actually 3 types of soulstone sizes. The small ones do only 200, the mediums that I threw earlier was 1100, and then the large ones do 2700, which is quite a bit more, and is a common way to do like nice damage to the bosses and enemies in the game. In addition, because they have an element type associated with each of them, you can often use them to like break an enemy if you can't hit the shield that you need, which is really nice. So this sandy area is one of like the 8 kind of regions in Octopath, and basically the 8 characters each have like a zone or like regions that are kind of associated with them. For example, Ophilia is in the north and her town is snowy, and then there's 2 more snowy towns as well, and then this is a sandy town, and then there's also 2 other sandy towns and such, and then there's swamp area and clifflands area and such. So here I will be picking up a soulstone L and going back to the Stoneguard area that I was at earlier, and I will be going to pick up Merchant. So here I'm going to go back down again and then go back up, and that's to reset the encounters that I mentioned earlier. In this map that I'm on right now, the first common encounter is a bull and a bird, or it's like a shaggy auroch, I think is the name for it. But in order to guarantee a safe pass through, I like to go down here and then go back up. Alternatively, you could just kind of YOLO it, or even just save on the way up and hope for no encounter. But this is just a little safer. In the next map here, most runs will usually save and quit on the in the save point in the middle of the screen, and that's to basically when you save and quit, it's the same as exiting a map and re-entering it, and then it resets the step counter. But I'm gonna just try to take the encounter out with the soulstone L I have, and it should be fine as long as they don't catch me by surprise, which can happen. Okay.
My turn now. Take that!
I gotta be careful not to throw the M stone, because M stone does not defeat this encounter.
I am not made for such battles.
Also, I mentioned that the large soul stone does 2700, but if the enemy is weak to an element or attack, it does 1.3x extra damage. So because of that, it does 3509. And you actually saw this earlier too with the frogs. One of the frogs was weak to light, and because of that, one of the light damage numbers was 1430 instead of the 1100 that the other frogs were hit with. Alright, and that is Merchant. Merchant is a very common job to get in Octopath speedruns. Basically any route that runs through this area will pretty much always get Merchant. And then it just is useful for one of the abilities that they have. If anyone here has played, for example, Final Fantasy or Dragon Quest, there's abilities like throw or coin in those games, and Merchant has a similar ability called Hired Help in this game, and basically those kinds of abilities tend to do semi-static-ish damage, and it doesn't matter your level, which is nice for a speedrun where you're very underleveled. So the town I just left is called Goldshore, and it is actually the location of Ophilia's Chapter 3, but we have to complete Chapter 2 first before we can trigger it. Okay, this is a little unfortunate. So I'm gonna flee here, hopefully can flee, nope, okay. So this map, the chance of encounter is not super high, but sometimes you can get this encounter, and if you do, it will often wipe you, like it happened here. But Octopath has a very generous autosave system, and basically every single map transition autosaves, so it's very safe to retry a map over and over until you can pass through safely. And this map it's semi-rare to get an encounter, and hopefully I won't get it this time around. Alright, good. And here I'm going to go down and pick up another soulstone L. The previous large soulstone I picked up was a fire one, and this one is a wind one, and I'm going to go back to the previous map and pick up a thunder soulstone M. And all these soulstones are basically the main way I'm going to be doing damage to enemies for the beginning of the game. And it's just a little more reliable than, you know, trying to whack with Ophilia's staff here. She's fairly weak and underleveled. I believe she's level 6, and this area that we're in, for example, is level 45 or so. Alright. And that was 20k. We need a lot of money for the merchant ability that I mentioned earlier. Alright. And I'm gonna do a save and quit here. That will reset the encounters in this map. The typical first encounter in this map is 2 birds, and if you get the 2 birds, they will often just wipe you. You can get lucky and flee maybe, but it's very unlikely. Alright, and that was another soulstone that I picked up before coming to this town. This is the merchant town, Grandport. Alright, good, no encounter. I'm going to leave this town right away and go to the optional dungeon nearby, which is a level 50 dungeon, and I'm just going to go there for some loot and such that will help us resource-wise to take down the later chapters. And now I'll come back to this town that I was just in, the merchant town, and basically loot it for a little bit of money. Okay, I don't often get this in my runs of this, but I will do it for this. This is a pomegranate L, and it gives you 4 boost points, and as I mentioned, the boost points, you can spend those to do extra damage or such, and that's just a little bit of safety for this marathon. And I'm gonna exit and re-enter to reset the encounters, and this time I'm gonna go to the top right corner and pick up a soulstone and a 30k, 30,000 leaves. Leaves is the currency in this game. Okay, there is an extremely tiny chance of encounter in this map. It's very unlikely. I think in all my runs I've maybe seen it like 2-3 times, and I've probably gone through that map like over 100 times. Like in practice and such, that is. This is the merchant town, Grandport. So Octopath is pretty much an open world game, and that means that you can go to these late game dungeons and towns right from the get-go, as long as you can avoid the encounters. And this end game level town basically has a lot of money just lying around that we can kind of pick up. So after this, I'm gonna go to Wellspring, which is that sandy town you saw me in earlier, and I'm gonna go try and pick up some armor soon. Alright, so I picked up the 3 chests in this town, and now I can leave this and come here. And I'm gonna come down here and pick up a Thunder Soulstone L, and then come back to Wellspring again. This is just to guarantee a pass through without like dangerous encounter and such. You can actually pick up this Soulstone L and run through the map, but you can also get a bad encounter in it, and I just want to be extra safe and sure that it'll be fine. So I'm gonna run back to that map I was in, but this time I'm gonna head straight down, and my goal is basically another optional dungeon called the Marslum Catacombs. It has a weapon that we're gonna loot for money, and then it also has a revitalizing jam, which is basically the strongest restorative in the game, fully healing HP, SP, and BP, which is the boost points. And then after that, we'll go to the town nearby and pick up some armor and such. Okay, you can see me sometimes I like walk a little bit or like kind of edge near some items and such. That's just to kind of hopefully reduce the chance of encounter, to minimize the steps I take and such. I'm gonna safety save here. I don't often do this, but just in case I wipe here, because there is a tiny chance of encounter going to the boss checkpoint. Okay, so this is the restorative I mentioned. Revitalizing Jam, which is full HP, SP, and BP restorative. And now this is a glitch in this run. This is going to be a no major glitches run, which basically means I can do the boss buffer glitch glitch. So the buffer glitch basically is done by holding the top of the Windows Windows bar on the Octopath's game program, and then moving, and you can go through it, go through a boss checkpoint like that, and loot the items that the boss would be guarding. On Nintendo Switch, it would be done with the home buffer, home button, and mashing that as you enter and exit. And we will be using that buffer glitch for one more item in the game, but we'll do that later. And there's a couple of dungeons like that where basically there's a boss guarding a treasure chest, and we can loot it with that glitch. And there are more like powerful glitches in the game, but that's probably the most simplest one that is most used. Okay, so I picked up some armor in those chests there, and I'm actually gonna equip them now just for a little bit of safety. Okay. Actually, and I will also I learned Hired Help, which is just to help break some encounters and defeat some encounters along the way, possibly, if I get any. And I fast traveled back to the starting town because there's another town I want to reach in the far north. Oops, wrong direction. There's basically more resources and more looting that I want to do before I fight the encounters in the game.
Flame, protect us.
I'm gonna break this encounter just to get a guaranteed flee and run from here. And here I'm just gonna be traveling to the next town. So this next area here is like the Forest Lands area, and it is associated with the Hunter character in the game. That's actually one of the job shrines we will actually be getting as well, the Hunter Shrine, in a little bit. Also, in the bottom left corner, you can see the danger level basically that's how Octopath warns players of how dangerous an area is. And the idea is basically, even though it's an open world-ish game, players will hopefully like be able to avoid the areas that are too dangerous for them. But with the evasive maneuvers that we have, we can often run through a map really quickly, and then hopefully avoid all the encounters, or we can hopefully just save and quit, or possibly defeat an encounter with the Soulstone and such. And this is the Hunter Shrine that I mentioned. We mainly need it for just one skill, but it just provides a little bit of security and safety. And then on the way out, I'm going to pick up this Olive of Life L here, just to maybe sell it. I don't pick it up on the way in because I believe that there's a little bit less distance. It doesn't really matter though, but just FYI. So here I'm going to come and tag this town, and this is a little bit out of the way, Victor's Hollow, but basically we want to come back here and recruit an NPC. Basically this NPC right here at the very edge of the town. I'm gonna come back later and recruit him, and he's gonna help me defeat the chapter 3 and 4 bosses, hopefully. The NPCs, you can't control them in battle, so sometimes you can summon them and they'll just never do the ability or attack you want, which is a little unfortunate, but usually it's consistent enough that it is fine. Okay, so in the next map, I think I will force an encounter. Okay, let's see. Alright, I will force an encounter going to the next map, because I do need a little bit level-wise and such. And then I think I'll actually force another one after that. We'll see. Okay, so this is the encounter. I can defeat it. Okay, well, I might not be able to defeat it now. Let's see. A little unfortunate. If it didn't catch me by surprise, I could defeat it with a Soulstone. In this map, a Thunder Soulstone L will defeat any encounter in here. A normal Soulstone would defeat most of the encounters in here, but there's one specific one that has a little bit more HP, but that little bit more HP can still be defeated if the enemy's weak to it, to a Soulstone element. Okay, so I'm gonna force the encounter here before I go to the next map, just because I need a little bit of levels and JP.
I'll not be defeated. Take this!
Alright.
I hope I grow more of them.
Okay, I need... Okay, I took off evasive maneuvers and I put on endless items. And this is basically because I want to force another encounter before I go to the optional dungeon here. And without evasive maneuvers, I should get an encounter right about now. Alright, with these, I can break them with hired help bandits. And then I can defeat them with any Soulstone L. They have about 5,200 HP or so, give or take a little.
Take this.
And the endless items that I put on basically gives me a 25% chance to basically dupe an item, and actually I'm gonna, it should be fine. So it gives me a 25% chance to dupe an item, and that basically just means I can reuse an item without using it up. And this is 30k, and I just come into this dungeon to pick that up because we do need a fair bit of money in this route. And as I run up, I'm gonna hopefully find another one of those 2 lizards and defeat them in the same way. So the hired help ability that I just used is super helpful because it basically does AoE damage, and there's multiple types of damage types it has, like axes, swords, and such. And they're relatively cheap. Like the bandits are only 800, but it helps me break these a lot more easily. And my hope is to reach level 15 after this, because that's the level I need to complete a quest later.
I'll not be defeated. Take this.
Okay.
I am not made for such battles.
Alright. Yeah, I'll wait until I get to the town. I do want to learn a hunter skill before I enter the next dangerous map, but I have a little bit of time, so it should be fine. So this is Northreach, which is another endgame like level town, and the thief character's final town usually. And normally Ophilia would not come here, but we do need some items in this dungeon called the Lorne Cathedral. Alright, so this is a backup. Alright, before I go any further, I'm gonna... Okay. So again, I did the buffer glitch, which is basically holding the top of the game program and then moving the analog stick, and it lets me go past trigger points like that. And it includes boss triggers, but also text prompts like the one that you just saw there, where Ophilia said, I shouldn't be here at this point. And it allows her to enter this optional dungeon for another character. And normally Ophilia would not be able to come in here, but it has some useful items and such that we definitely want to pick up. And it's really these items that are in this dungeon that make this speedrun possible for solo Ophilia. In normal Octopath single story speedruns, you would actually collect Tressa and Cyrus and then complete Ophilia's chapters using those two to help defeat the bosses. But this solo challenge uses basically elemental reduction gear to help defend against Ophilia's mostly elemental bosses. So that was the Gleaming Amulet, and it basically gives 99% light reduction. Alright, hopefully I don't get an encounter here. My movement was not great, but okay. Alright, that's good. I'm gonna safety save here. Even with a save and quit, this map is not safe, so I'm just gonna kind of YOLO it and hopefully not get an encounter. And my goal is to reach another elemental reduction armor. A little unfortunate, and I can't defeat this one, unfortunately.
My turn now.
Oh wow, this is unusual.
YOLO it harder, obviously.
Okay, so I managed to get that, get away from that, which is very unusual, but very lucky. Okay, I'm gonna switch to Hunter here and leave here. So I was very lucky there. Usually you would not be able to escape that, because it seems like escape rate is tied to level basically, and like the lower level you are, like the much more unlikely you are to escape. But I just got lucky there, fortunately. And here I'm going to pick up another elemental reduction armor soon. So the Void Amulet I picked up at the very end is 99% dark reduction. The Gleaming Amulet I picked up before that is 99% light reduction. And this here is 99% wind reduction with this Tempest Amulet. And the Chapter 3 and 4 bosses use light, wind, and dark a lot, so these all help. I also picked up a Soulstone L here, and that's to help with the Chapter 3 boss, just in case. So this map is the reason why I got Hunter. It's actually a little inefficient and slow, because technically the NPC behind me has the Flurry ability, which is the same as the Arrow Storm ability that I wanted Hunter for. But because I can't control the NPC, I like to get Hunter to guarantee it. Okay, I got caught by surprise, which is a little unfortunate, but these guys debuff a lot, so sometimes you can get lucky, but I didn't, so it's fine though. We can just run through this map again. And these Plains Drakes here, they basically have weaknesses to spear and bow. So if you can do a lot of spear hits or bow hits, you can break them and then flee. And Arrow Storm is exactly that, as its name may imply. It's a multi-hit bow attack on all enemies. And the nice thing about Arrow Storm is that it's guaranteed 3 hits. Okay. And it's guaranteed 3 hits no matter what level or anything you are. You can see that it's like very little damage, just some single digits, but that's fine. I can break them, flee, and that's good. Okay, I feel like I got that encounter a little bit early, so I will save just in case on the way to the town. You can actually get 2 encounters in this map, but it's unusual. and very rare. Okay.
There is no
Well, I probably could have actually gotten away if I didn't save, but it's fine. I can. And also my movement was not great in this map, but it's totally fine. Even if they wipe me, I'm right at the save point, and then I can go to the town. It's very unusual to get 2 encounters in this map, just because it's a big map, and you'd have to get like really like unfortunate rolls on your like step count thing. We don't exactly know how step count works in the game, but we just know it kind of varies. Like you'll get encounters. Oh, 1 second. So I picked up a shield there to help boost Ophilia's defenses. But basically in this game, whenever you enter a map, you'll know around the point when you get an encounter on average. And it seems to vary a little bit with some steps and kind of depends a little. I'm entering here just to get a soulstone just to be extra safe. It shouldn't be necessary at all, but it can't hurt, I think, for a little bit of safety in this marathon. It should be fine to. Okay. Oh wait. My apologies. Before I come to this town, I do want to complete the quest I mentioned earlier. So, Ophilia's guide action varies with level, and there's a quest in this town where if I guide a NPC at level 15, I can guide him and bring him to the top of the map, and it completes a quest related to this history person. So it's this person, and I wouldn't be able to guide him if I didn't have level 15, which is why I wanted level 15. And when I bring him to the top of the map, I can complete the quest and get a royal crest, and royal crest just gives me 600 extra HP, which is really nice because even just 600 or 500 HP really makes a big difference in this game. And also a little bit of money, of course, which is never bad. Okay. Alright, royal crest and gleaming. And I'll go back to merchant here. Okay, leaving here, I'm gonna go down and then back up, and that's to hopefully skip the encounter in the map. But if I do get the encounter, it should be fine because I have soul stones to defeat it. Alright. Grace, is there anything you would like to say or anything?
No, we're still sitting here just kind of chilling and watching you be awesome at this game.
Thank you. I hope that the commentary is okay.
Oh, it's fantastic. I'm literally like,
no choice.
I was actually absorbed
Well,
kind of for a second there because I like literally was just watching what you were doing, and then you were like, hello? And I was like, oh god, right, I have to talk.
So here is the encounter I mentioned that I can defeat with the soulstone. We very specifically need a wind soulstone L to defeat that one actually, and that's because the 2 scorpions have, I believe, 2930 HP, and they don't fall to a single 2700 large soulstone. But if you do a weakness soulstone, as I mentioned earlier, we do 1.3x extra damage, which is 3509, and helps defeat them. And now I'm just going to be going to Ophilia's next town, which is the Clearbook or Saintsbridge town, and that will be the site of her chapter 2 and her chapter 2 boss and such. Ophilia's story basically revolves around her taking on a ritual for the church in place of her sister. In chapter 1, we learned that Ophilia's adopted father had gotten sick, so her stepsister basically had to do a ritual for the family, but Ophilia tells her that Ophilia will do it in her stead, and because of that, Ophilia comes to this town, and this is the first town with the church, and Ophilia is gonna complete the ritual here. And we'll just skip through the cutscenes, which is something really nice to not have to rewatch the cutscenes over and over. And afterwards, Ophilia will help out in the town a little bit. Ophilia's path action is often used in these towns to basically guide and help the children in the town, and we'll see that again here. And if you recall in chapter 1, it was the same thing, us guiding a child early on to help them out. And the storyline is basically that there's a missing item, and Ophilia helps search for them, and the boys are kind of fighting over that. Also, this money item I just got is a little excessive. I shouldn't have any issues with money in this route, but I just want to be extra cautious and safe and sure. Alright, so here we will come down and unfortunately we learned that one of the boys who was searching for the item went to the scary woods, and Ophilia decides to go rescue him. And she also remembers a little bit of her childhood too, being with her sister. And it's a nice little heartfelt moment. But now we have to go rescue the little boy who went to the scary forest to find the item. Okay, so in this map there is an encounter that we can get on the way to the save point. I think I will take it just for a little bit of safety. You can opt to save and quit and skip it, but I have soul stones, so it should be fine. Okay.
I'll do my best. Take this.
And 2 soul stones should defeat these, and also Ophilia's HP is high enough that should be I should be fine in terms of damage. You can see that, and also the armor is very good that I have too.
Take this. I am not made for such battles.
Alright, that should be way more than enough money that for the route, once I get the other money that I would get. But basically the armor we have in this run right now is very powerful relative to the enemies that attack us, which is why we take almost no damage. And here I'm gonna go run through and try to reach the boss. You saw the way I moved earlier, I didn't follow the torches. Usually in Octopath, if you follow the torches, you can avoid any, you can reach the boss relatively quickly, but there's like 2 maps, this map and Hanet, the hunter character's map, where,
do my best. Take this.
where, following the torches is not optimal, but it's fine. Okay, and basically you would do a different kind of pathing to reach the boss a little quicker. Okay, here is the second boss in the game that we're gonna defeat, Rod Vintner. Really dangerous wolf.
I'll not be defeated. This should help. Prepare yourself.
So I used a pomegranate M, which gave me 2 boost points, and then the hired help veterans. And this is a hired help ability I mentioned earlier, where basically we pay 30,000 and do a lot of damage. You saw that did a lot of damage to the boss. And after that, I'm going to defend here and toss a soul stone.
I'll not be defeated. Take this.
And that will break the boss, and now I will defeat him with another hired help.
Prepare yourself. Fight.
And you can see it does almost 5,000 per boost point, and that is just a lot of damage for what Ophilia should normally be able to do at this point. And that will be chapter 2 completed. One thing that's a little unfortunate is it is expensive to do that. That cost us 60,000, basically 30,000 per set of veterans, but it's well worth it in terms of the damage that we can do, and the fact that money is not too difficult to come by in this game, just because it is open world, so you can always go to like an end game area and loot the dungeon completely, which is what I did earlier for a lot of that money. Alright, so now that chapter 2 is completed, we're going to go straight to our chapter 3 town and get started on that. And chapter 2 was probably the easiest of the chapters, but chapters 3 and 4 are a little bit more dangerous. In this map here, I'm going to get a little bit of money, another pomegranate to help with the final boss, and then do some story triggers and such as well. And as I mentioned, this is one of the towns we went to earlier to have a warp point back to. And once again, Ophilia is being the good person she is and helping the young children in the town. Same thing here. Help the little boy, guide him back with Ophilia's path action, and then move on with the story triggers and such. And at the end of this cutscene, I'm gonna basically spawn deep in this church, and the goal is gonna be to go to the dungeon way outside. So it's actually faster to leave this map and come back, and that's actually nice because I do actually want to pick up an NPC to help me fight the final bosses. So this is the NPC I mentioned earlier. He has inhibit defenses, and will help me defeat this chapter 3 boss and then chapter 4 boss, hopefully. Alright, before I go to the next map, there is a soulstone here I'm gonna pick up. And this guy we just passed is a very important character in chapter 4, but you actually don't have to talk to him, which is a little funny because it's the developers placed him there, and it seems like you're supposed to interact with him, but it's not mandatory or anything. So I saved there because this map has a chance of encounter going to the checkpoint, and if you get the encounter, it's very difficult to flee or break. So okay, I didn't get it, which is good. Alright, and here I'll just mash. Usually it's faster to hold B and skip the cutscene, but if it's a short text box like that, or like 1 or 2 text boxes, it's usually better to just mash and get through it. And then here is another dungeon, which is a little large and unsafe, so I'm gonna save and quit to reach the next save point. Okay. Alright, and that basically helps reduce the chance of an encounter since it's such a long map. And since it's a chapter 3 map, Ophilia basically can't defeat any of the encounters by herself. Okay, I do not need a reflective valve for this boss, but for the next boss I do, and I wanted to just do it here so I don't forget. Right, this is a little unfortunate, but hopefully I can just flee if I get lucky. Okay, I got lucky. Alright, that's good. That's very unusual to get fleas like that easily, but I will take it happily. Okay, this boss is fairly difficult. The goal is to set up side steps, which basically block attacks that have like a physical component to them, which is the arcane blades that one of the people here do. Then I will summon, and I'll get pomegranates, or use a pomegranate L to get max BP, and then summon as many veterans as possible. The summon I did has defense down on an enemy, so my veteran soldiers that I summoned earlier will do a lot more damage. Okay, it's a little unfortunate.
I'll not be defeated. This should help.
Okay. Alright, turn order is okay here, but I do need another set of... Oof, that would have been bad. I do need another inhibit defenses here. Hopefully he does it, and if not, we'll see what happens. Alright, that's a little unfortunate. Alright, so this I believe should defeat the left guy, but the right guy will have quite a bit of HP left, unfortunately. A little late. If he had done that a turn earlier, this fight would be way safer, but now it's a lot more dangerous.
Well then, take this.
Okay, I got a dupe here, so that's good. Dupe basically means I didn't use up the item.
Take this.
It's a little unfortunate. I believe I would just lose here outright, unfortunately. Yeah. So basically, because the person I had didn't do the 2 turns of defense down that I needed, I wasn't able to do enough damage to the enemy, and they defeated me. But it's fine. We can just retry this boss, and it should be okay, hopefully. It usually doesn't take me too many tries to get through this.
You will not harm me.
Okay, so same thing as before. I set up side steps, then I will summon my NPC and hopefully be able to get lots of inhibit turns on the enemies, and that will reduce their defenses to hopefully defeat them. Alright.
My turn now. This should help.
Okay, that's good. So if the enemies don't do too much damage to me, I should be okay in terms of surviving and defeating them. And you can see here that the luminescence only does 5 damage. That's because of the 99% light reduction armor that I have on.
Here I go! Fight!
If not for that 99% reduction, it would be doing well 500, like 100 times that. Alright, this is mostly good. We'll see. Hopefully he does arcane blade here. Or okay, that's a little unfortunate.
I'm finished.
So we'll basically be repeating this a little bit until we get through, and it usually takes me about 3 or 4 tries or so, depending on just luck of the turn order and such.
You will not harm me! Well then.
And same thing as before, we'll summon. Going a little bit later, like on the next turn, is kind of nice because hopefully I can use my revitalizing gem to full heal my HP before more turns happen, and that's just to get a little bit more extra security.
I'll do my best. This should help.
It's a little unfortunate, but happens. Okay.
I'll do my best. No, you will not. Well then. This should help.
So unfortunately, I'm not getting the defense down I need from my NPC, and I think that this turn order is a little too unfortunate. I'll probably not survive, unfortunately. Okay, so that's something else that can happen. It did actually happen with other NPCs earlier in the game, but basically the NPCs can try to block an attack for you, which can sometimes actually help out in terms of shielding you from a little bit of damage. Hopefully, okay, no. Unfortunately, this boss, you can't predict what it'll do exactly. Sometimes it'll do arcane blade instead of ice or fire. So our hope is to get the arcane blade that we can sidestep. And arcane blade is actually an interesting attack. It does elemental damage, but you can sidestep it, which sidestep dodges physical attacks, and that's just an interesting aspect to that attack. Okay, so hopefully this time the NPC cooperates. Okay, so that's a good start. And we'll see how turn order goes here.
I'll do my best. This should help.
Okay, so that's good. Hopefully the rest of it is alright. Also, we have armor for fire reduction, which actually helps reduce the damage that the fireball does. But when arcane enhancement happens, that is unfortunate because it does too much damage. The boosted attacks in the game, basically, like the buffs in the game, usually amplify attacks by 1.5 times as much. So ideally, we will defeat or break the enemy before they do that arcane enhancement attack.
I will stop.
And also, I apologize if this is taking a little while. The RNG is a little unfortunate here.
Well then.
Okay. And I'll just be repeating this a little bit in terms of a fight. I don't know if Grace, you wanted to say anything or have any words or anything.
Nah, I don't really have much to add in. Again, we are all enjoying the run. We're having fun. Reminder to everybody, we are here to support direct release. So if you want to go ahead and donate towards that, we would appreciate it.
Okay, so here, basically seeing arcane enhancement is always a little unfortunate, but it happens unfortunately. Hopefully we can. Okay, so my hope is that he does arcane blade here, and with that I can sidestep it. But we'll see whether that actually goes through or not. Okay, that's a little unfortunate. Alright, hopefully this time around this is...
Well, anyway, that's the information.
I will stop you here and now.
Back and let everyone know that it's dangerous. Just that
I'll do it. You will not harm me. I'll not be defeated.
Yeah, I mean, there were a lot of statues of demons. Kind of spooky, but like,
I'll do my
I don't
best.
think they're alive.
This should help.
But I don't think they're alive.
Okay, so hopefully this time around we can get through this. Okay, so here, basically the foe seethes with rage because his ally fell,
I'll not be defeated. Take this.
and this light soulstone should defeat him. And I'm sorry that that took so long, but the battle is overall fairly simple, as long as you don't get too unlucky with it. But that is chapter 3 down, so that's good. And before I go to the next map, I want to Tempest and Void. Yeah, okay. So again, I'm sorry that that took so many attempts. I put this estimate a little high because I knew that that boss could take a couple of tries. That took a little longer than I usually take, but fortunately we managed to pull through it. And now we can go complete the chapter. And after this we'll move on to Ophilia's final chapter and her final boss. And here we see Ophilia's sister. And basically there's kind of a small little plot twist regarding that. I won't fully say it, I suppose, because in case there's any people watching who will play through this eventually and want to experience this full story for themselves. But this is the final town where Ophilia will be in and defeat her final boss. Alright, before we continue, I just want to make sure that my equipment is geared. Oh, good, okay. And I'm just selling all my armor and excess resources and such for the money that to fund the final burst of veterans for the last boss. So here, basically Ophilia's betrayed by like one of the village people, and she's locked up by the evil mastermind, and she's freed because her sister still loves her and cares for her, so frees her. And now we'll enter the final dungeon in the game. And the two equipment I made sure that I had on were the Tempest Amulet and the Void Amulet. And Tempest does 99% wind reduction, Void does 99% dark reduction. And the final boss has basically all wind, dark, and physical attacks. Toward the when he gets very low on HP, he unlocks a thunder-based attack, but hopefully we will never see that low HP like threshold. In addition, here I'm gonna do a save and quit. Well, hopefully I will reach the save point without an encounter, and I'll do a save and quit because it's a little dangerous, and there's a little bit more money I want to pick up in this map. Okay, I feel like that's a little early, but okay.
I'll do my best.
Okay, so I will probably just wipe here. This is a level 40-ish map,
I am finished.
so it's a little unfortunate. Yeah, level 46, and Ophilia is level 18. And usually you would be doing this map with a full party, but it's fine. We should be able to reach the save point. Usually you get the encounter a little later than that, but it's fine. Alright, and I'll do a save and quit here. Alright. And basically, the reason why I wanted to do a save and quit not only is to reset the encounters in this map, but also because there is this 30k chest down here that I really want. And I'll do one last safety save here. Although usually you wouldn't do this, but just in case. Okay, so this first boss here, or this first pre-battle is basically 3 soldiers, and they're very strong, but we can just defend and do hired help veterans to defeat them. And we specifically need at least 3 veterans. If I just boosted 2 veterans, it wouldn't be enough. And I can also level up to level 20, which is good because that means that usually I should be safe from crits from the boss. The next boss, I'm also gonna let the dialogue play because there's an incentive, and it was met to let the boss dialogue play, so we can hear him. This is the only voice boss battle in the game.
Spout all the pretty words you like. You know the truth. She will never again know the happiness she once did. Why do you rob your sister of the hope I offer her? What else does she have but that futile wish?
She still has so much more, whether she sees it or not. Every tie you have to another person, small though it might be, will help you rise again when you have fallen.
This is like one of the few. Well, this is the only voice dialogue in the game in a battle. Alright, and now I'm just gonna set up side steps here to avoid physical attacks. And you saw that his magic attack did almost nothing to me. And that's basically because Ophilia has that elemental reduction gear I mentioned. So usually that would do, for example, 1300. And it does way less because of her armor and such. It makes it a lot safer to fight this boss by herself. And I'm gonna just slowly set up side steps to be extra safe.
You will not harm me. This should help.
As well as heal my HP, just to have a little bit extra buffer if he does break through. And once I've set up some side steps, I'll start doing some damage to him. The main way to do damage to this boss in solo challenges against him is to use Reflective Val, which basically reflects 1 magic attack against him.
Will not. I will not be defeated. You will not harm me.
And this is like extra safe, but I just don't want him to break through my side steps and hit me for physical damage, because he can actually wipe you from that. Okay.
I'll do my best.
And I'll summon my NPC here and hope for more inhibit defenses like that, which is good. And that basically does more damage on these reflects that I'm going to be doing right here.
Here I go! I will reflect your barbs.
Alright, that's good. Getting more of that reflect down.
Will not. Will not.
And here you'll see the reflect damage from Reflective Veil do 2000.
You will not harm me!
And next I'm going to do Veterans X3 for 3 veterans and bring him to 1 shield. And that just helps accelerate his phases a little bit. And I don't want to break him because he starts summoning ads after he's broken. And that is harder to deal with than just reflecting damage and not breaking him and keeping his pattern consistent.
My turn now. This should help.
Okay, getting that endless item proc is really good. It's 25% chance, but basically means I can reuse that item and get another 4 BP, which is really nice because boost points help a lot in solos and also just in regular runs in general too.
Well, prepare yourself. I will reflect your barbs. Will not. Well then, you will not harm me.
Okay.
Will not. Prepare yourself. I will reflect your barbs.
Okay.
Bonds of love and friendship are but fragile things. They all break in the end. All of them.
No, we will never be broken apart. I believe in Liana.
Oh, you sound quite confident. I wonder how long you will cling to
So that boss dialogue basically means he's at 30% damage, and we'll I will summon here to do a little bit more damage.
I'll do my best. This should help.
Alright, I want lots of inhibit defenses there, so that's good.
Here I go! I will reflect your barbs.
Alright, that's good.
Will not.
And you see how all these reflect damages are just 2000 each and just reflecting a ton of damage onto him.
This should help.
So here, that was a jam to restore my SP because I'll need more sidestep soon.
Well then, you will not harm me. Well, here I go. You will not harm me.
Alright, here I ran out of reflective bells, but hopefully I'll be able to set them back up soon.
Will not. I'll do my best. This should help.
Okay, getting another endless item proc there is really nice.
Prepare yourself. I will reflect your barbs.
And I'm gonna resummon my NPC here to get more inhibit turns on the enemy. And soon he's gonna reach his 50% mark. Okay, so this is his 50% mark. And I will
My turn now.
summon my NPC here and hopefully get a defense down. I didn't, which is a little unfortunate, but it happens.
Will not. I'll do my best.
I will.
This should
Alright,
help.
I'm gonna get a little more BP. Okay, so that's good. $6,000. Okay.
Prepare yourself. Fight.
I believe this will not defeat him, but I have a soul stone which should defeat him.
Fight.
Okay, well, I guess it did. Alright, that's good. So that was the final boss.
Flame guides us true.
Okay, and time will be coming up soon. I believe at the end of the next cutscene here, when the bar fills up, and time. Okay, and that was Ophilia, single story under the Lone Traveler Challenge. Thank you for anyone who was watching, and I hope the run was enjoyable.
Thank you for the run. We all appreciated it. That was absolutely fantastic. Do you have any thing you want to say? Any shout outs for maybe the communities?
Yes. I wanted to just give a shout out to the Octopath Discords, both the casual Discord and also the Speedrun Discord, and the modding Discord as well. Lots of wonderful people in all those communities. Everyone's been super helpful. I learned like a ton of stuff from the game from being part of those communities, and I wouldn't be speedrunning this game now if it wasn't for the help of a lot of the people in those servers and such. And really wonderful people, and the game is also super inviting if anyone wants to try and speedrun it. There's lots of easy guides and such, and even if you don't want to speedrun it, it's just a fun casual RPG to play through, so I highly recommend. And also thank you to the people at IdaAid, and also thank you, Grace, for having me on here and such.
Yeah, no problem. All right. We are going to get ready for our next run then, I guess. So thanks, everybody. Stick around.